Chelsea reaction then, boys. The first thing, the only thing to talk about, first of all, really fortunate to have Mark Halsey, former Premier League ref, on with us, and you'll hear that interview in full in part 2. Fabian Balbuena getting sent off for kicking a football. It's beyond West Ham and losing to Chelsea, and I'm not for a minute, I want to make this clear, I'm not suggesting for a minute that sending off cost us the game. It cost us a chance to give ourselves a chance of nicking a point, perhaps. I'm not saying we would. So anyone who's thinking of getting on at me on Twitter or just anywhere going, well, we wouldn't have won, so it doesn't matter. It does matter. It matters more than just that one game, because what the hell is the point of watching football anymore if he literally kicked the ball? And this isn't my West Ham hat on. I've hated watching football a lot this season because of the way so many of the decisions are going and the way VAR is being implemented. What else do you say, really? I mean, James, you're laughing your head off. If you actually, you know what, I might go to Tom, because when I'm feeling as angry as this, I don't like it when you try and pacify me and say, it's not as bad as you make out, mate. I don't know. I don't need it. So I might go to Tom.
I'm not going to say that.
Me up.
I'm not going to say that, mate. I completely agree with you. I was in the pub watching it, which was a great experience, by the way. I've missed that. I really, really missed that, by the way. Being in the pub watching football, but it was full of West Ham fans, and I've never seen, and obviously unless you're in the stadium, baffled by the decision, so many blokes, there's people on their knees in the pub with their heads in their hands going, I cannot believe what I've just seen there. I genuinely cannot believe it. And I still look back at it now and just go, how the hell have two professional referees, Premier League referees, have had a chance to look at that over and over again and came to the complete opposite decision as the rest of the country? When you've got ex-Premier League footballers tweeting going, I cannot believe I've seen that. When you've got current Premier League footballers tweeting, can't believe I've just seen that. It was that obvious, and still on the day, two men watched it over and over again and still came to the decision as a red card. It's just absolutely baffling. And it kind of almost underlined the week that we'd had. Obviously, at the beginning of the week, we thought we'd lost football to 6 billionaires or 12 billionaires in the Super League. And then at the end of the week, you get a decision like that where you think, well, what is the point of us even bothering when you get decisions like that? And it almost underlined the week that we'd had as fans. But thankfully, in the end, common sense prevailed. But I saw a stat just before we come on. Apparently, 5 of our last 8 Premier League red cards have been rescinded.
Exactly. What's the point?
And 2 of those in this season were given by VAR. They were watched over by the referee on the side of the pitch and then eventually overturned days later.
That's the most ridiculous thing, isn't it?
It's
VAR is supposed to be those appeals there live. It's supposed to be the blokes sitting around the room live.
It's supposed to stop red cards being given incorrectly and then ended up being rescinded.
Exactly.
What's happened twice last season is exactly what is not supposed to happen with VAR.
Lads, I don't know if 15-16 counts as those 7, but if 5 out of 7 sounds that probably 15-16 was before that. How many of those were rescinded as well in 15-16, the Chiarte one and all them?
I think it involves those.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was going to say, because then that would just be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But VAR, like you said, it's supposed to be there to do the reviewing straight away, isn't it? So before, someone would get sent off during the game, there was nothing anyone could do about it before VAR. And then on a Monday, the team would appeal. So people would sit around and watch the videos. Professionals would sit down and watch the videos and then say that should or shouldn't have been a yellow card. VAR is supposed to be that Monday morning meeting brought forward to 30 seconds after the incident has happened. Exactly what you said. So you don't need it anymore. What the hell is going on? What is going on? Honestly, the football has been rubbish this season. I know West Ham have been good, but football has been rubbish. The amount of games where I'm not, I know some people are, I'm not a big one for sitting down on a Saturday and not getting off the sofa until Sunday night when all the games have gone anyway. I'm not a massive one for that. I like watching West Ham. I do watch a few, obviously. If I get paid to work in football as well, so I watch as much as I can, or the ones I have to. But I'm not always a massive one for that. But this season, I've been even less so. I know there's been more on, but sometimes I'll just sit and watch this. This might be a good game. And the amount of games I just go, I don't care. What's the point? what's the point of that? Like Leeds, Patrick Bamford's one was almost on par with that earlier season when he pointed for where he wanted the ball to go, and his legs were about 3 yards behind the bloke who was obviously playing him onside, and he got done because the corner of his sleeve of his arm that was pointing where he wanted the ball was like 0.5 millimeter beyond the Aston Villa defender's knee or whoever it was. And it's like, what's the point? And what is the point? Yeah, but look, so lads, decisions to one side, we'll forget about those. We'll speak about those with Mark Halsey, and we'll hear what he's got to say in part 2. But on the pitch, football only chat now, no more refereeing howlers. Did you think we didn't offer too much going forward? I thought Chelsea defended expertly. I was really impressed with them. They looked compact, they looked tight, and they were as good, I thought, as we looked unimaginative and tired. What did you think, Tom, as far as the game went going forward away from those ridiculous decisions?
Yeah, I think considering we lost 5 players, I think defensive solidarity is something we've lost for the last month or so. I know we've won games and we've been brilliant going forward, but it was good to see us look solid defensively. Apart from the Werner goal, we didn't seem to switch off. But yes, I think there's a problem going forward. I think we drastically miss Antonio, and I think it will become ever more evident in these next few games against Burnley, Brighton, West Brom, Southampton. They're going to sit deep. And we're going to need someone to stretch the play in. And Bowen, he's done a sterling job up there. Sorry, he's done very, very well, but he doesn't have a physicality. He can't bully people. He can't do everything that a number 9 should do. He's limited. He can't get it back to goal. He's more about running in behind. And I think we just missed that physical presence up there. And I do feel like there's a bit of burnout. Before we came on air, we were talking about the fact that these players have played a lot of games. If you go through it and you look at Souček, you look at all them, you look at Soufal, you look at Bowen, Fornals, they played a lot of minutes this season with very little rotation. And I'm worried it's catching up with us going forward. Lingard won't score 9 in 10. I will say this on record, ever again for the rest of his career. That's just how it is. That's how it is. He'll never score 9 in 10 for the rest of his career. He won't. Like, he's a superb player, and he still contributed on the weekend. It was brilliant. And he's still our top player, and he'll be the one to make a difference. But we can't rely on him doing something every week. And I think it's becoming quite clear now that we're a bit short in those forward areas when we're missing our top talents. And it's a worry for me. It is a worry because we didn't look particularly good that weekend, and we didn't look against Newcastle until we had a firework up our arse. We didn't look particularly good either going forward. So that's a worry, but we've still got firepower there. So fingers crossed that they prove me wrong.
James, I wasn't going to mention it till a bit later on. I thought we'd do a little bit more on the game first, but Tom's alluded to it there. So it seems like a nice time to link across. I just feel, and I don't want to say it because I know that people will get at me on Twitter again, projected negativity, blah, blah, blah. But I just think now the lack of January investment is starting to show. This is the part of the season when those decisions, or in our case, lack of decisions, start to come out, don't they? They start to show because players, we're running on fumes. And I mean that both the actual players we've got are running on fumes, and we're running on fumes as far as the squad and players we've got available. Players are dropping or have been dropping like flies in recent weeks. And we've been left with a threadbare squad. It's not sustainable to expect to go a full season or even half a season just on a really good starting 11. That's what mid-table to lower mid-table teams do. You know, Crystal Palace, Brighton, all these teams have got a decent starting 11 with some good players, but no subs. That's the difference, isn't it? And do you feel like that? I don't want to be negative, but you've got to call it as it is as well, mate. It's if we'd have invested more in January, we, like Tom's mentioned it about the Newcastle game, we would have been all right then. I'm not saying we would have beaten Chelsea. I'm not saying that at all, but it would at least give ourselves more of a chance at the business end of a season, which could be historic, or it could be, oh yeah, fairly good.
We said it, didn't we, after, was it the beginning of February, after deadline day, when we were kind of hoping that the club would bring someone in?
Yeah, and then that was annoyingly, we started playing well, winning games, so I looked a bit silly.
But it was still obvious then, like, because we all knew that Antonio would eventually have to sit out a few games because his hamstring would go again. And we all knew in the back of our minds that either one of Rice or Souček are bound to get injured at some point and miss 1 or 2 games. It was going to happen. And so it's just frustrating that we've now got to this point. We've got ourselves in such a great position, and it could be undone by that lack of activity in January. And some people were praising David Moyes for when he said, "Oh, I didn't want to waste the club's money on just a backup striker or whatever."
And if you believe that, then you're a flat earther.
Like it's silly, isn't it? Like, just go out and get someone. Just go out and get someone that
anyone
that can play up front. Should Antonio get, or when Antonio gets injured, and we needed another central midfielder, because as much as Noble's done a great job, we all doubted him. When Rice got injured, we all wondered whether he could make a difference given the performances he'd made when he had played previously. But, I mean, he's done a good job, but we need someone who can play a very similar role. We need a proper deputy, a proper backup, and it just didn't happen. And now we're sitting there, okay, 1 or 2 might be back, hopefully for the Burnley game, if not for the game after that. But it's getting a little bit like we can't afford any more injuries, and we're literally, as you said, running on fumes, driving towards, probably the biggest achievement in the club's history, and it's just whether we can get over the line or not. And it's beginning to get a bit worrying, to be fair. But it'd be the club and David Moyes who will have, although David Moyes done a great job, brilliant job all season. Like he'd have questions to answer in the season if we don't make it over the line because of his injuries, and that's that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm still not quite having that everyone's just taking David Moyes' word as gospel that it was his decision not to buy
party line.
Yeah, exactly. Towed the party line, and the club were quite happy for him to take that flack because his stock was high at the time, so fans were more inclined to forgive him than they were the board. I just feel like it's a bit, if you imagine it like a 400-meter race, I feel like we were leading going into the final turn, and we're sort of, as we're coming around the bend, you think, oh, who's going to come out on top? And we're just level as you come out the final bend into that final straight, and all of a sudden the laces have come undone. You can just see you're about to tread on them and trip over and stumble while the rest of them fly past, hurtling at pace. But yeah, look, I got told off for projecting negativity before. Well, I can't get told off now because this is actual negativity, because it is bearing fruit. So I think I managed to keep my mouth shut for a while. Thomas, you put your hand up very politely there. Go on, what have you got to say?
No, I was just going to say I'm with you, Will, and for me, yes. I would like to say, for one, if we don't finish in the top 6, it's a failure. It is a failure. Yes, it's an improvement from last year. I'm saying it's been an unbelievable success. Anything above 8th has been a success this season. But from the position we were in, with a game in hand over Leicester. So Leicester were playing the FA Cup semi-final. We had Newcastle, one of the worst dross teams I've ever seen in the Premier League at that stage. And we had them to play away from home. And we've got a red card in that game to kill us. And then we had a chance to go 3rd. And then we had Chelsea, a team below us, who we could have played and gone for a point. If we don't get this, and I'm not saying top 4, forget that. But I'm saying if we now finish outside of the top 6 from Everton and all them, it would be a failure from the position we got ourselves into. It would be an absolute success. We'll look back on the absolute success from what Moyes has done to get us to this position is an unbelievable achievement from everyone associated with the club. That is a fact. So no matter what happens from now to then, but from the position we got ourselves into, I would be very salty about it if we finish outside the top 6, and I wouldn't take it very well, because I don't think many clubs in the world would bottle the position we got ourselves into with Burnley, West Brom, Southampton, Brighton, all those teams left to play, and Newcastle, forget them, all left to play with 8 left, just after beating the team who was 3rd to claw 1 back on them. I do think that a club like us gets these opportunities once every 70 years by the looks of it. And we're willing to throw it away. And I'm saying I'm 7th for me. I'll take it, and I'll be there in wherever it is in the Europa Conference.
Get me to Baku.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And I just think that there was a chance here to do something class and infiltrate the elite. We spoke to a Burnley fan, they come 7th. Fulham have come 7th. Wolves have come 7th once or twice in the last few years. 7th isn't special. 7th is nothing. Top 6 is something that we moved stadium and moved our whole lives for. And I think we've got to achieve it, the position we got ourselves into. And that's the crux of it. I'm not saying it's a bad season, though.
Do you know what? I agree to, particularly when you look at the fixtures that other teams around us have got. You know, Chelsea have still got to play, I think, Arsenal and Man City. I know Arsenal are nothing this season, but they've still got to play them. Big Gun and Derby. I think Leicester, forget Leicester, but like Spurs have still got to play Leicester. Who else is in and around there? Liverpool have still got to play United and someone else. So they've all got really tough fixtures. And I think the only tough fixture on paper that we've got is really Everton at home. And our home record this season, barring Sunday's result, has been almost flawless. So on paper, we should be looking at our fixtures and going, right, we've got to win every one. And if we do, then there's the likelihood is that other teams around us are going to drop points, and there's a chance to even potentially get back into that top 4, but at least remain in that top 6. But the problem we've got is, do we have enough in the squad to win those final 5 games against the opposition that we're coming up against them? That there's beginning to be some doubts just creeping in a little bit as to whether we've got the squad depth and the energy left to really get it over the line.
Look, I just like to say, Tom, I wasn't laughing at you there, what you're saying. I totally agree with every single word of it. It just made me giggle because as you were saying it, I realised that this morning, me and Jones both woke up to a completely unprovoked text message from you in the group chat, just saying, sorry, lads, just had to say anything but top 6 this season is a complete failure from the position we're in with 9 to play. I don't think any of us had put anything in the group chat for a couple of days. So it did just make me giggle. It was first I'm rubbing my little eyes this morning. I said, oh, poor Tom had a bee in his bonnet last night. Bless him. No one replied because we all got an early night.
I just had to. For some reason, been plaguing my brain. I just like everyone talks to me on West Ham. It's 15-16 prior season, massive. We spoke to a Burnley fan who had that 2 years ago. We're tin pot. If we can't get to top 6 and infiltrate something, we are tin pot. We've done so much this season. To throw it away with the fixtures we've got will be. I can't sit there and fucking arms with my mates and enjoying drawing some Slavian third team who came 3rd in the Slavian league. I can't enjoy that. I can't.
Just quickly, Tom,
that's going on Twitter, by the way, that clip. That's going on Twitter.
Whereabouts is the Slavian league played?
I don't know who Slavia are, but we'll make them up. I'll play him. I'll take him and I'll be there. And I'll be on Jones's flight and I'll be on that private jet and we'll go out with the West Ham team and have a right laugh. But at the end of the day, I just can't. It's just, I just want to be successful and I want to be infiltrating that top 6 and I want to be doing something worthwhile. And that's what you keep saying, Will, is we left there to be successful. How can you say 7th is successful when a newly promoted Wolves got that and a Burnley squad got that with all the players they've got? It's not. 7th is the best of the rest. We moved to infiltrate the best, and I will not have accepting 7th in a season when no fans are there. The champions have put in the worst title defense ever, basically. Other than the only other season we did half decent when Chelsea came below us and they just won the title. So I just feel like it's a massive opportunity, and it will be a massive opportunity missed if we don't finish in that top 6.
No, I totally agree with you, mate. I totally agree with you. And I'll be honest, I've been a little bit more wary of being too negative after the January stuff because I did go in pretty hard on the club, and I do still feel the same way now that our inaction in January is going to affect us. Let's be honest. This is the first time I've said this out loud, but if I had a fiver and all I cared about was winning some money on that, I would bet on us finishing 8th.
Yeah.
Everton, who are in 8th, are 3 points behind us with the game in hand. Assume they win that. They've still got Sheffield United to play in, then that runner. We've got some difficult games as well. But there's an easy win against Sheffield United there. So give that one to Everton now. They're the same points as us with a worse goal difference, to be fair to them. But I just feel our inaction in January in the squad we've got is not a reflection on the players at all. I don't feel the ones who go out in the pitch are not trying hard enough at all. And I totally back them every week when they go out. I just think looking at us the last couple of weeks, Newcastle as well, I know we got the red card, but we just struggled. We struggled against Chelsea, and anything now, any wins we get now, results will feel like more of a surprise, which they haven't done at all stages in the season. It'll feel a lot more like, oh, blimey, we've managed to win despite our thin squad or our weakened starting 11, and I don't think that's a good position to be in at this stage of the season. But I don't want us to finish 8th before anyone misconstrues it, and it might be projected negativity. It's not that. I just think purely looking at it with a completely rational head on, that's what I think will happen. What I want to happen is that Leicester, Chelsea, both bottle it. We win all our games till the end of the season, and we finish 3rd. And actually, no, sorry, the teams get Doxon points and we win the Premier League. But look, back to the match quickly. James, Timo Werner was always going to be in, wasn't it?
I mean, we can add into the list the players that didn't score for 7 years and then came up against West Ham and got a goal. I can't think of any other players on the top of my head, but I know there are loads on that list. But from what we're hearing, he was woeful against Real Madrid in the Champions League semi-final. So yeah, kind of reverted back to normal after playing against us. But yeah, I mean, I wish I'd put my fiver on him scoring at the weekend. But just a rubbish goal to concede as well.
It was annoying, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was like just. My mate, when we were in the pub, my mate missed it and he came back and said, "What was it like?" And the only way I could describe it was like one of those really sweaty FIFA goals.
Precisely.
And then his response was, "What cut back from the left to the right?" And I said, "Exactly that, mate. Like it's rubbish to concede." But
somehow squeezed through a load of defenders' legs and went in. Tom Lingard looking a bit tired. Some reports out today that he was struggling in the build up to the game with the workload on his legs, a bit achy and stuff like that. He's hobbling around a bit, as we've seen from him a few times recently. Could be a doubt for Monday, but fortunate that we've got the long break in between. Again, squad depth, you'd perhaps be able to give him a bit more of a rest. Haven't been able to do that. What do you make of that?
Yeah, well, exactly like we've all said, and I don't want to be negative. I love everyone out there, and I think they're a brilliant set of players. We just don't have our first team out, and Lingard has been forced to play 90 minutes every single week when he's gone from playing 0 Premier League games.
That's the key, isn't it? He's gone from 0 to hero.
Mate, that's it. And footballers are humans. You go out and try and run 20 kilometers on your first day as one of us, you're not going to get anywhere. That's what he's been asked to do. He's asked to get as much as you're fit and you're on a treadmill. It's a different game, and it's the change of direction. It's the pace. It's pressing, and it's the short sprints, and you can't prep for that. And he's struggling. And I think that's just an epitome of what's going on with us. I think Souček's been asked to do too much. Soufal's been asked to do too much this season. We're just struggling for legs. And don't get me wrong, we still got it. And Lingard, fingers crossed, if he is fit, I don't deny that he'll produce the same performances. But we're asking the extraordinary out of him. We're basically asking him to make up for our goals, our strikers and our wingers, and basically score all our goals. That's basically what we're asking from him, and it's caught up with him. And just fingers crossed that he keeps his fitness, because if he's scoring or not, he's a superb player, and it makes a difference to our side. So we just got to pray that he's the one who doesn't get injured between now and the end of the season.
Right, final bit then to kick off this the podcast, or to wrap up the first segment of this podcast. Saeed Benrahma. I wasn't sure whether to do it. We've swerved clear of it the last few weeks because I don't think it was relevant. There's people still bickering about it on Twitter, but it came to the fore again after the Chelsea game. He came on, didn't get given a lot of minutes, didn't do much. The thing that everyone was moaning about, when he gets the ball, everyone's lined up in the box. All it needs was a little dinked one, and it's really difficult for the defending team to deal with. He doesn't. He tries a shot from all of 35 yards, balloons over the crossbar. The remote controls no doubt went onto the floor. Beers got kicked over from everyone watching at home, rightfully furious. He got inevitable pelters after the game. And I've never known anything like it, really, of an issue to be so divisive. I mean, I have American politics, British politics, all of it. But I mean, as far as West Ham football goes, it's just straight down the middle. It's just there seems to be no one in any camp other than get rid of him as soon as we can, or why isn't he starting every single game for us, the football ingenious wizard? Tom, go to you first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed with him. I think since the last 2 months, he's been poor. He's been poor the last few. I'm a big fan of him. And I will say we keep him. And I think people will be surprised and people will 100% eat their words. If he gets the right go, he gets good preseason and he gets some confidence going and flowing in those veins. He's a seriously talented player. Like, everyone knows that. Everyone knows the ability he has in his locker. You don't have Tony Cottee coming on and saying he's got Pi 8 level abilities and he watches him every week in, week out for Sky. He's obviously a top player. He said that on our podcast. And I think Benrahma does have that ability to change games. But all season, I will admit, he has not done that. And he has not done that. There's about 2 or 3 times I can point to where he's made a positive difference in influence the result of the game. And I agree. There are better options than him right now. He shouldn't be near the starting 11. He absolutely should not be near the starting 11. Bowen, Fornals, Lingard, Antonio, all them have given a lot more for the club both this season and delivered a lot more and are there. But I think it's a confidence issue. And I think if he gets a run of games and that run of games will have to be luck. Football is luck. He'll have to get an injury and have to get shown a bit of faith by Moyes because he hasn't earned that on the pitch. Until he goes on the pitch, does something off the bench and wins that trust of Moyes, he won't get afforded that unless it's from a break of luck for him. And rightly so, because he's not done that. But there is a top player there. And I hope it comes right for us, because if it's not for us, it'll be for someone else, because he's a superb player technically. And I really can't wait for him to hit those heights with us or without us. But I just pray that he gets it going for us.
Fair enough, mate. Yeah, I mean, maybe that is a chance there'll be people screaming at this podcast when we're talking about not able to give players rest, going say Benrahma's on the bench. James, you wrap us up. Just final thoughts on that before we hear from Mark Halsey.
I think I agree with a lot of what Tom just said about Benrahma. I think what that decision he made against Chelsea, where he skied it rather than putting the ball in the box, that's born out of his frustration. Like, he only did that because he's dying.
Come on.
He's dying to get on the score sheet. It doesn't make it right. Absolutely not. Like, he made the wrong decision. But you can clearly see, and it's been like this for sort of the last 4 or 5 appearances that he's made, that he's desperate to get his first goal for the club, and it's clouding his judgment on the pitch, and it's almost sort of taking over his ability as a footballer, because he's almost got one thing on his mind, and that's right, I need to get a goal, because he knows a goal will build his confidence. A goal will get him in Moyes' good books. A goal might get him a start in the next game. He's been a little bit unlucky in terms of that he's not had a long run of starts. He's not had a long go at it. So yeah, I think I think he's a confidence player. I think we've always known that he's a bit of a confidence player, and I think when he scores his first goal for the club, I think we might begin to see a bit of a different side than Benrahma. Trouble is, he needs the minutes to be able to get that goal and the correct decision making, because on Saturday afternoon it was all wrong.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Well, look, we won't go into it too much more for the time being. Bigger fish to fry at West Ham at the moment. I don't care who plays on the pitch as long as we get that European spot.